who we think are maybe one of the dumbest groups of people that have ever been assembled in the history, just on what they worry about, what they don't worry about, what they focus on, what they don't focus on, what they show the public of who they are versus what they don't. Like there's so many bad decisions being made at the NCAA on a regular basis from our perspective that anything they do, you think to yourself, idiots. Why are they doing that? They're trying to screw somebody over.
Yes.
And no offense, NCAA, you've earned that reputation by everything that you have done. And I'm a former collegiate athlete who saw a lot of my friends get everybody got rich around a lot of my friends. And they nonetheless, let's move forward. They're proposing a countrywide ban on prop bets on college players. Hey, this feels smart.
Yeah.
The more and more we thought about this. Now, Tone Diggs, you're the host of Hammer Dad, which is a gambling show. You've been gambling, for a lot longer than, all that stuff. And I'm not even going to talk about you being, Italiano, kind of in your blood almost. Like an entire thing. Yeah. But as somebody that likes a lot of options to gamble on so you can beat the book.
Yes, exactly.
Whenever we read this and talked about this, we immediately were like, not a bad idea there, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. And we talk, and we come at books sometimes for not having options and prop bets out there for some things. But in this case, I think it's genius because, like in Shohei's case, if Shohei was gambling and he's risking $700 million, kind of. Like that, in that situation, like he's risking everything. Now, there are 333, I think, D1 college basketball programs. Like, think about how many college basketball players there are. They're all not going to be millionaires, okay? So they may actually be looking to throw, tempted to, I'm not saying throw games, but to throw their props for sure. So when you take that temptation out of the equation completely for NCAA players, like I think it's a genius idea because these guys, they aren't risking everything if they're throwing their own props. Okay, like what are they risking? Getting thrown off the team you're
never going to be able to play college basketball again. Sweet.
I wasn't really playing anyway. Yeah. So like in that situation, like pros is different. Like if they're throwing their props, they're risking their entire career. They're risking millions of dollars. But for NCAA kids, it's a pretty tempting thing to do if you're approached by the wrong group of people or something like that. So I think it's genius to take it all away, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I think it's also, if people miss out on players' prop bets, you don't just, it's not a direct visceral.
Right.
Nope. When you're a potential class or the next day, whenever you know exactly, these people have to mingle amongst their peers. Like professional athletes, it kind of comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like, hey, if you're seen in public, your chance you're going to get a cost. There's going to be things you say. For college athletes, you got to, like after I missed those 2 kicks,
exactly.
I had to go to class.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was terrible. That was bad. Yeah. Those were bad. Had tests, had to go. Mm-hmm. Not normally a class goer, had to go. And it's like, I hope nobody,
Yeah.
Like legitimately, I just got 27 people told me they want to kill me. I had people writing handwritten letters, putting them in bottles, throwing them at my house and my car. And I'm like opening the bottle like it's a wish, like from a genie. Yeah. I read it. You should kill yourself. Maybe I'll do it. They didn't mean that. Put that back in a bottle. Anyways, I got to go to class. Yeah. Hopefully they're not sitting next to me in this class. These guys, if you're not hitting the over or whatever, and you're walking around campus, I mean, there's so many, oh, thanks! Yeah. We won the game. I don't care. Like, there's just like so many opportunities there when it comes to it. This feels like a good idea from the NCAA.
Yeah, definitely. And even in the pros now, like I forget who it was. It might have been Halliburton. It was somebody in the NBA just came out and said, like, we're not players anymore. Like, we are just prop bets to these people. Like, they don't care about anything. If I'm on the court, I'm not getting yelled at to play better. I'm getting yelled at like, hey, I need you to get 2 more assists.
So it sounds like something that people would assume we would be against. We're actually for it. Okay, the NCAA, they're pitching to ban all prop bets on players and student human athletes. We like that move. Even though we enjoy sports gambling, we think it protects people, especially collegiate athletes as opposed to professional athletes. Do you think there's conversations about sports gambling happening at those league meetings that we don't hear about? We hear about the kickoff. We hear about the hip drop tackle, the challenges, that type of stuff. Are they addressing like sports gambling? Because right now the NBA's got something going on, the MLB's got something going on, NCAA's got something going on. Do you think the NFL's addressing that at these meetings, or how do you think it's all being talked about?
Well, I definitely think they'll address anything in those meetings in the private sessions where they can kind of have conversations about where the game's going to go, how can they improve it, and certainly with the interaction between gambling that's legal in states and being sponsors to a lot of the advertising, it goes both ways, and so do the gambling companies. They want to make sure that all these things are tightened down, because if you read Billy Walters' book, and he talks a lot about the perception that that it's on the wrong side of the tracks. And by having legalized gambling, the professional bettor like Walters, he wants the bet. He wants everything to have integrity, and he's promoting integrity. And so does the sports book. So there's a two-way street.
Well, we all need it. We all need the integrity of the game to stay.
That's really important.
Don't you think so, Lumbo? We all need the integrity.
Absolutely.
Even as ex-players, it's like whenever a player gets caught gambling, like the Calvin Ridley situation a couple years back. Ex-player, I am always going to try to see through the eyes of the player and see how or why this happened. We just did it with Shohei. Like everybody's assuming Shohei's gambling. I'm like, there's a chance, and we've seen it in the past where Shohei got preyed upon almost by a hustler, and there's a chance this was all misunderstanding, especially with multiple different languages. But whenever the Calvin Ridley thing happened, it was like immediately in my head, it was like, can't happen. Like just you're kind of taught that as a player going in. Don't be Pete Rose. There's like literally
signs everywhere.
Everywhere. And that's because if you ruin the integrity of the game, it's not only like fans are like, well, they're already saying it's scripted, but if it got even louder, you lose fans. The gambling money dead because nobody wants to gamble. Like it's like the whole business dies if the product on the field gets questioned at all. So they need to keep that and figure that out. And players, we promise you, whenever you retire, you're going to be the greatest gamblers of all time.
For sure. Yeah.
You're going to be so much smarter, so much better. The gambling world's still going to exist. We promise you. Just we need you to wait for the good of everybody. And now, is that selfish? Because we need sports to continue to be great and not be questioned and not have their integrity jeopardized? Yes. So that's coming from a biased opinion, but also for the good of sport. People that are partaking inside of it cannot be, like that can't be a thing. Your gamble is the contract that you signed. That's what needs, you know what I mean? Like, I think that needs to continue to be pushed.
And that's the commissioner's main job, Pat. I mean, the commissioner's main job when he sits down and look at his job description is to protect the integrity of the game. And I think Goodell has done a good job of being ahead of that curve and making sure that everybody understands it. And we had a mishap last year in terms of communication. I think they did a better job this off season of educating the players on what they can and can't do. But that's the main job of any commissioner in any sport, is to protect the integrity of the game and make sure that there's fairness, not only for the sports bettors, which are legal in certain states, but for the people participating, for their families that are dependent upon, the outcome of the game.
And teammates of the guys that are like, I don't need to hear that one of my teammates is actively sabotaging.
Yeah, sure.
Like this Jonte Porter.
Yeah.
In Toronto.
Yeah,
where it's being reported, alleged. This is not, none of this is, it's being alleged he was like, I'm sick, and gets out before hitting his over on any of his points or rebounds or anything like that. It's like, what if his teammates were like, well, I was feeling like shit too that night. You're like, we gotta, it's not good for anybody. So we hope that all the players do the right, you guys will do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
You all will do the right